So let me get this straight. Every year, 3,000 of the world's richest people fly on private jets to a remote village in Switzerland, eating Wagyu tomahawks while staying in 5-star hotels, and they tell us to use less energy, travel less, eat bugs, and they wonder why we don't trust them. Larry Fink's 2026 opening remarks at Davos says that he feels like the global elites are a little out of touch with this meeting. That's right, everybody. The annual pilgrimage to Kiss the Ring in Davos is upon us. It's a global forum where the global elites come to hear about green energy policy from a 13-year-old. It's also a global meeting where the elites don't come to respond to events happening, they create them.
The World Economic Forum is not about responding to current events. It's about orchestrating the right conditions that enable us to move forward.
Who is us that he's talking about in this video? It's not you and me. We have no say in this. It's 3,000 of the world's wealthiest people who pay $30,000 a ticket, 850 CEOs, 65 heads of state, and the world's most powerful business owners who come to set an agenda on what's going to happen next and when. And this year, it looks like they're going to create a global crash under the guise of AI and AI market disruption. Larry Fink has already said, if AI does to white-collar work what globalization did to the blue-collar, we need to confront that directly. The only thing that's different about Davos this year from years past is Donald J. Trump. Here's a picture of him walking into Davos this year. He's sending a clear message. We're not here for global alliances. We're here for America. The U.S. has sent its largest delegation ever. And the New York Times said, as Davos convenes, deference to Trump has replaced everything. Scott Bessent is already out front telling people to chill. The EU doesn't want any smoke with the United States over Greenland. When asked about the idea of Europe escalating against the U.S., here's what Scott Bessent had to say.
I think it would be very unwise.
And while the elites are planning the next global crisis, well, markets are in a bit of turmoil. Silver's at 95. The S&P 500, oh my goodness. Bitcoin holders are hodling for their own dear life. And the global bond market is selling off like nothing we've ever seen before. This $150 trillion bond market is trading like a meme stock. The 30-year in Japan has gone up 8% today alone. Whether it's the bond markets crashing, gold and silver screaming higher, central bankers claiming that we're going to have an alien invasion, Donald Trump eyeing Greenland, the Fed beginning regularly scheduled injections into the economy starting today of $55 billion, one thing is clear. The global order is on the brink of collapse, and Bitcoin's time to rise to the forefront is upon us. We've got some insane stuff to get to today. Lock in. This is Dante Cook with Bitcoin Simply. Let's go. All right, first story of the day. Well, it is the only story and the most important story. Davos and the World Economic Forum. The main story, global tension, and the United States putting an end to this conversation about globalization.
We are in Davos at the World Economic Forum. And the Trump administration and myself, we are here to make a very clear point. Globalization has failed the West and the United States of America. It's a failed policy. It is what the WEF has stood for, which is export, offshore, far shore, find the cheapest labor in the world, and the world is a better place for it. The fact is, it has left America behind. It has left the American workers behind. And what we are here to say is that America First is a different model, one that we encourage other countries to consider, which is that our workers come first. We can have policies that impact our workers. Sovereignty is your borders. You're entitled to have borders. You shouldn't offshore your medicine. You shouldn't offshore your semiconductors. You shouldn't offshore your entire industrial base and have it be hollowed out beneath you. You should not be dependent for that which is fundamental to your sovereignty on any other nation. And if you're going to be dependent on someone, it darn well better be your best allies. Okay? And so that is a different way of thinking. It is completely different than the WEF. I viewed the WEF as not a flagpole in the middle, but in fact, they are the flag. Whichever way the wind blew, so it blew. You should have solar, you should have wind. Why are you going to do solar and wind? Why would Europe agree to be net zero in 2030 when they don't make a battery? They don't make a battery. So if they go 2030, they are deciding to be subservient to China, who makes the batteries.
Tension between Donald Trump and the rest of the world is at its highest that it's ever been. And America's clear, we're not playing this WEF agenda anymore and this globalization thing that has clearly hurt America over the past 40 years. Donald Trump sat down with all of the heads of global states like their children in this picture. And he's showing the world the art of the deal is alive and well. The main source of contention in global markets, in the world generally, is the United States saying that they are going to have Greenland the hard way or the easy way.
Right now, we are going to do something on Greenland, whether they like it or not, because if we don't do it, Russia or China will take over Greenland, and we're not going to have Russia or China as a neighbor. Okay?
The U.S. is saying that they're no longer going to bankroll NATO and the EU nations and have them just rip off the American economy while also propping up their adversaries in Russia and China. In Europe, well, they're not laying down. They're saying that they must fight.
Battle lines for a new world order based on power are being drawn right now. So yes, Europe must fight.
We're moving away from a world of trust to a world of distrust. And the bond market is selling off like we've never seen before because I don't want to hold a country's paper that I no longer trust. The prices of bonds globally look like the Mag 7 stocks, with the 30-year in Japan going up 8% in a single day. So much for having cheaper mortgages. This is the signpost of a new global monetary world order. This is the economic reset that everyone's been talking about. And while at Davos, Scott Bessent has already been in discussions with Japan's leadership, saying that he's sure that they're going to make some comments to calm the markets, that everything is fine, everything's under control. But that clearly is not what is going on. This is the beginning of the monetary reset that Uncle Ray Ray has been talking about for a long time. Here's what he had to say about it.
The monetary order is breaking down. Okay. What I mean by the monetary order is that fiat currencies and debt as a storehold of wealth is not being held by central banks in the same way, and that there was a change. The biggest market to move last year was the gold market, far better than the tech markets, right, and so on. And the U.S. markets underperformed foreign markets because of the fact you could see it in the numbers of the central banks and so on. So let's just look at the fact that on the other side of trade deficits and trade wars, there are capital and capital wars. And so as we're looking at that, and you reported what the stock market and so on, but you didn't report that the gold market is also up 3%.
We did say that earlier this morning.
Okay.
It's up to
But
record
I'm
levels
saying,
again, and silver.
Is you look at what is happening and why it's happening and who's buying it. So let's just take a moment on that capital war issue, okay? We know that both the holders of U.S. dollar denominated debt, which is money, and those who need it, the United States, are worried about each other, right? So if you have other countries who are holding it and they're worried about each other, and we're producing a lot of it, that's a big issue, right? So you have to explain what is going on with fiat currencies, generally speaking. And now if you take the conflicts, you can't ignore the possibility that capital wars, in other words, maybe there's not the same inclination to buy U.S. debt and so on. We at least need to talk about those possibilities and find out who is buying and selling what that is behind these market movements.
And this is a stern and real synopsis of what's going down in Davos right now. But make no mistake, this isn't happening by chance. This is happening by design. This was the World Economic Forum's plan all along, where the global elites are going to establish how they're going to run the world without us being here.
Have regularly gathered here in Davos, in Switzerland, to confront the defining challenges of our time. This is why the World Economic Forum exists. Since 56 years, it is the international organization for public-private cooperation. A space where government, businesses, and civil society come together.
Let me take you back to the beginning, 1971, actually January 24th of 1971, which was when the World Economic Forum was created. Oh yeah, the same year that we went off the gold standard. Ironic. The World Economic Forum was actually funded by the Club of Rome, who established a playbook back in 1972 and came out with their magnus opus, the limits of growth. This is a universal global agenda that lays out a plan for coordinated central banking, governments, the decrease of the population by 2100, and the ability for technology to control large portions of the society. Yeah, this was an actual study done by MIT in 1972. I'm not making this up. And this has been the agenda of the World Economic Forum from the very beginning. Ursula von der Leyen, the president of the European Commission, lays out the entire plan from 1971 until today, in her own words, not mine.
And the decision to delink the US dollar from gold. In an instant, the foundations of the Bretton Woods system and the entire global economic order set up after the war effectively collapsed. But it also had two major effects. It inadvertently created the conditions for what would become a truly global order, and it provided a sharp lesson for Europe and on the need to strengthen its economic and political power. It was a warning to reduce our dependencies, in this case, on a foreign currency. The world may be very different today, without any question, but I believe the lesson is very much the same. That geopolitical shocks can and must serve as an opportunity for Europe. And in my view, the seismic change we are going through today is an opportunity, in fact, a necessity, to build a new form of Europe.
They're saying the quiet part out loud and they're not even trying to hide it. Larry Fink, the head of BlackRock and now the head of WEF, has been leading the conversations and the agendas around the global elite. The topics of discussion for this year: energy control, digital currency, and AI displacing jobs. It's funny, they're already capturing surveys so they can align around their new agenda. When asked about the perceptions of the business community on AI, the business leaders in Davos, 54% of them said that AI is going to displace a large number of jobs, giving them the right and the ability to lay off hundreds of thousands of their employees and create the global economic crisis, which will lead them to their plan of a digital currency. BlackRock is going to talk about how AI is going to disrupt all of the work for the common man. Yet they've made $50 billion of investments into data centers to replace the common man. And Larry Fink has already had discussions with other leaders around the world. Behavior is going to have to change. And at BlackRock, we're not just going to let the change happen. We're going to force the change.
Well, behaviors are going to have to change. And this is one thing we're asking companies. You have to force behaviors. And at BlackRock, we are forcing behaviors.
And the behavior that they're trying to change and the narrative that they're trying to change, the behavior that they're trying to force is that capitalism must evolve. It must evolve to not just have the haves and the have-nots, but include everybody in a new inclusive environment where AI is not just displacing jobs, but creating jobs, where we have digital currency that's available to everybody. Mark my words, these are the narratives that are coming out of 2026 Davos. Larry Fink says he wants more dialogue and he wants more trust. No, he doesn't. He doesn't want a democratic dialogue. He wants certainty, because markets don't like uncertainty.
Markets don't like uncertainty. Markets like actually totalitarian governments where you have a understanding of what's out there. And obviously the whole dimension is changing now with, as you said, a democratization of countries. And democracies are very messy, as we know in the United States. You have opinions changing back and forth.
Right now, the global elites are between a rock and a hard place. We've got all these democracies in place, yet we want to impose totalitarianism. But we can't come out and say that. We're just going to implement it through policies through back doors. One of the coordinated parts of their plan is so that they can have a globally controlled money. And the head of the central bank in Qatar is already talking about digital currency, and that 100 central bankers believe that this is the time to act now to implement their plan.
Recent reports showed that more than 100 countries, more than 100 central banks don't have a fast payment system. And fast payment system is very important for any economy, to make the economy efficient, for example. that will also help to reach the goal of cashless-based economy. And this is type of digital product.
The irony of this clip is that there was an actual landline telephone going off in the background, as they're talking about modernizing the financial system. And yet we believe that these people are the ones that can actually do it. Like it or not, this is the future that they want to build, and this is the future that they're aiming towards, whether you are part of it or not. We need an alternative system that doesn't rely on the trust me bros and the global elites that didn't invite you to the meeting that says that you're a part of. The ability that they're looking for is provided in Bitcoin, in actuality.
Crypto is updating the financial system, and we want everyone to be able to do that and make our capital markets more efficient.
But does it take the moat away from everybody's business? If everybody can do the same thing, what happens in the end?
Customers win with competition. I mean, we shouldn't have policies being created in the United States that favor one set of companies over another. There should be clear rules of what's allowed, what's not, and then everyone competes. That's how the customer benefits.
I don't trust Brian Armstrong, whatever. He's out for the interest of crypto and Coinbase, and for that, I can't hate on him. But understand that Bitcoin is the solution not for the global bankers or the unbrokered, but for the unbanked and underfunded and unrepresented. Bitcoin is the solution, and right now is the time to capitalize while the US dollar is weak.
The dollar, by the way, has never been used less since World War II. After World War II, 90% of world trade was US dollars. It's now 40% and heading lower. The dollar is losing world reserve currency status. That's another reason why you see a lot of warmongering out of the White House in Washington, D.C., because they need to find a way to shore up their business model, since their fundamental currency unit is collapsing in world trade. Other countries are moving on. A lot of them are moving into Bitcoin.
And that's why when Bitcoin runs, it's going to run quickly.
Not only is Bitcoin against the dollar a really good bet, but you're seeing the dollar fall as fast as you're seeing Bitcoin grow. And that combination is going to, it'll hit 250,000, but it's going to hit 1 million. It's going to hit 10 million on its way to where the dollar is no longer accepted, no longer worth it. And Bitcoin is the one source of store of value and currency for the world eventually.
Because the value of the dollar is going to decline rapidly as we move away from this global order and this globalization movement that's happened in the last 40 or 50 years. Before we go any further, I want to thank our sponsors. Ledin has been the leader in Bitcoin-backed loans since 2018, issuing over $10 billion worth of loans to tens of thousands of customers all across the globe. The product that they wanted to build was, what if we could build a product that allowed people to not sell their Bitcoin, but borrow against their Bitcoin in fiat, which is going down in terms of the Bitcoin? Well, they created that product, Ledin, which allows you to unlock liquidity from your Bitcoin without selling it, up to 50% loan to value. The process takes just less than 2 minutes in order to fill out an application, and the fiat can be in your account in less than 6 hours. There's no credit checks, and it's about half of what a credit card costs. So, get started by going to learn.ledin.io/simply today. The Bitcoin way is here to help you to take sovereignty of your Bitcoin, to remove it from exchanges, to remove it from this global world order. They'll help you remove your Bitcoin from exchange, set up a node, and do so privately, so that you can be safe and sovereign and secure in this new future. Schedule a free 30-minute consultation with their team at thebitcoinway.com/simplybitcoin.
And I believe there will be time within my lifetime that oil and natural gas are priced in Bitcoin, because I'm an engineer and I believe it's the most logical pricing mechanism. Does it mean that the U.S. loses U.S. reserve currency status? I hope not. If the USA is smart enough to embrace Bitcoin, it could also maintain U.S. reserve currency status. What will get debased is U.S. reserve asset status, which is U.S. treasuries. Bitcoin will replace U.S. treasury bonds as the global reserve asset. All of these are part and parcel of a progression. When will it happen? Look, I can give a target, but not a time. I'd be a fool to do both. But think about the law of conservation of energy. Energy can neither be created nor destroyed. Understand that this is why Bitcoin is the solution for so many different things in this world. A beautiful technology and a beautiful store of value.
This is a throwback clip from Greg Foss, who says that in his lifetime, Bitcoin is going to be the basis for global energy, global trade, and be the new global economic reserve currency. And I believe that it's going to happen because as we move into a system of complete lack of trust and chaos, that inevitably is going to result in global tension and war, just like it always does. We're going to come to our senses as humans and say, we want rules. We don't want to be ruled by other nations. We want our own sovereignty. Your borders should be protected. Your rights to your people and your country should be protected. You should never outsource your sovereignty and be subservient to another economy or another place. And the currency that's going to allow you to do that the most and the most effectively as we live in a global digital world is Bitcoin. There's nothing even close. Larry Fink, Ursula, and Ray Dalio said that we are on the brink of collapse in the current financial system. I didn't say that, they've said that. The New World Order is changing and it's time that you recognize that. Whether their plans are successful and they're able to create a new digital world currency, well, you're going to want money outside of the system, and the best opportunity to do that is Bitcoin. And if they do believe that they can save the system or that they're going to kick the can down the road a little bit further, well, the best beneficiary of that when they print money into the collapse is going to be Bitcoin, which you can then remove from the system and be sovereign. The plan is being laid out, and they talk about it every single year. You don't want your eggs in a system that's collapsing, and especially in one that they're saying that they're going to change, that they're not going to wait to change, and that we're going to implement a new system. I don't know what else to tell you, but I hope you get value from what we're dropping. One of the ways you can become sovereign in your Bitcoin journey is not by just not selling your Bitcoin or removing it from exchanges, but by mining Bitcoin. Mining through a partner like Saz Mining, where they will send sats directly to your wallet, 100% free of middlemen and markups with 100% carbon-free renewable energy sources. They manage your machines, and you can depreciate your machines if you get a tax accountant and advisor to show you exactly how to do that. You earn sats directly to your wallet to become a more sovereign individual. Use the QR code to get started with Saz Mining today. I hope you enjoyed this one today. Let us know what you think below in the comments. If you haven't already done so, subscribe to the channel, give us a pamp, as Rustin would say, and share the Sound Money Gospel. I'll catch you all on Friday. This is Dante Cook with Bitcoin Simply. Happy stacking.